What's up, traders? Welcome back to Phu Quoc in Vietnam. I've been here on this small island for some time. I really like it. It's really relaxed, and plus this room is really awesome. Today I want to share with you 3 ways that I've improved trading psychology, my mindset in the past. Those are things that I didn't do at first and I had to kind of force myself to do them, and I tend to feel a lot better doing these things as opposed to not doing them. And you might think that some of those are kind of obvious, they are basic. Some of them are, but they work, and that's why I'm sharing those with you. Because if they wouldn't work, then I wouldn't be using them. And I wouldn't share those with you guys. So some are not that obvious, so you got to see for yourself if it's gonna work for you. So let's jump into those 3 things that help my psychology. First things first, and this is gonna be like the most obvious one, so you guys are gonna comment in the comment section for sure and complain about this, but it's reducing the risk. Now, I started trading in Forex with like a really high level of risk. I would risk like I didn't know what I was risking, so let's say like 5% or more per trade without any reason. And that meant that I would be stressed out. I would be like really like worried if I had like 3 trades open at the same time, because I could be losing a good chunk of my account. Either this, or I would be having too many trades at the same time. Like I would trade like any currency pair that I would think about without a clear kind of step-by-step process to be able to look at the pairs, whether they make sense, whether there's a trade set up on them, whether I should do this or not, whether they're correlated, and I didn't think about that at all. So you want to be very clear about what is your risk, how much you can risk, and that's not just based on how much money you want to make. That's based on how you can handle as a drawdown, and most people tend to overestimate how big of a drawdown they can kind of feel and go through. So they might say, well, I can handle like a 50% drawdown, no problem. But then they get there and they realize that to get back on track, they have to win 100% more on their account that they have now. So you gotta kind of be smarter than that and think about what that's gonna mean for you if you were to lose this amount of money or this percent of your account, and whether you can recover. It's not something easy, it takes time, but once you kind of learn that and understand it, and you also reduce your position size per trade to make sure that your risk is always low, then it's easier and you don't feel as much stressed out or angry because you lost some trades. It just feels normal. And if you're at a point where you kind of feel that every loss is hitting you hard or hitting you and like you're not happy, then reduce more. And there's no limit to how you can reduce. Just reduce as much as you can, and that's going to be better. Okay? Second thing is, I had to get clear on my trading strategy metrics. So the stats I had, these are things like the win rate, the reward to risk, what kind of drawdown I can expect overall, how long its drawdown is going to be. Things that people like don't think about, or that they think that they might like backtest 20 trades quickly and they say, oh, here's my win rate. Like, oh, I win like 80% of the time on those 20 trades. But that's only giving you a false estimate of what your strategy really is. You gotta be more in depth than that, which means more trades, more data, and more metrics. There's a lot of things you can calculate, things like the risk of ruin, things like what days of the week work better, what pairs are the best, so that maybe you can risk a little bit more on those pairs, the pairs that have a better win rate or a better reward. You could kind of increase your risk a little bit there, but you gotta know this first. And also things that I kind of had to force myself to do in trading and business after. So even in business, there's things you gotta track, you gotta keep kind of an account of to make sure that you're improving all the time. And also things that I don't do like automatically myself, so I need to kind of force myself to do them, and it's fine. But that really helps a lot, because like when you're in a trade and you know your win rate, you don't care about if you're gonna win the trade or not, because you know overall you should win that number of trades and things should work fine. So that's very important. And by the way, if you're a member of the Academy, we have a complete template inside the Academy. We call it the trading metrics spreadsheet. So kind of a spreadsheet where you can track all your metrics from your trade data. I recommend you get this, kind of look at your metrics all the time, look at your stats, and make sure you track everything. This is going to tell you whether you are the problem, whether the market is the problem, and what exactly you can do to fix it. So we have a video module on that, as well as a template. Use that to your advantage. And if you're not a member of the Academy for whatever reason, I'll put a link below for that, so you can join and start to work with us. Now tip number 3 is a little bit less obvious, and that's something that I learned somewhere in a book. I think it was in this book, a book by Cathy Leans, and that's the idea of placing multiple take profit. So closing your trades partially over time as they get in your favor. That's something that I didn't do for like the first 2.5 years of my trading, and every time I had a loss, I would kind of be pissed or something of the sort. And basically the thing is that if you have a way of taking partial profit, your losses become way more infrequent, and that's a good thing. So if you're the type of person who's starting out now, or maybe you just recover from losing money and you want to get back on track to not losing too much, then partial profits are ideal, because he can set a trade, he can enter the trade, and then as soon as you get to 1 hour, let's say if we were to risk, then you take partial profit. That means that from there, there's no way you can get a loss. Okay, so it's only 1 hour, and 1 hour is like pretty fast to achieve. So I was getting like sometimes day trades that I wasn't sure about, and they followed my plan, of course, but I wasn't sure about the trade. I would just put the multiple take profit 1-to-1, and let's say 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 if you were to risk, and I would just like sit there and wait. And soon enough, price would either get a loss or will go to my first take profit, and I would be like break even at that point. So that really helped kind of solidify my mindset at first. Eventually I moved away from this when I started to kind of calculate the stats. So it comes down to point number 2, right? You want to know the stats of your strategy. And when I saw that the stats were better with no partial take profit, then I went to this. But if you want to train yourself to get some losses, train yourself to get some profit, train yourself to stay in the trade longer, then these partial take profit are really good, and I would recommend them to anyone who's starting out or wanting to kind of solidify the way you trade, because that's really awesome. And the other thing you can do with that, if you want, is move your stop loss to break even, and that makes it very simple to not get pissed off or whatever. You enter a trade, put your stop loss, put your 2 take profit, one at 1-to-1, one further, and then one price gets at 1-to-1, which is going to take not long. Then your first trade is closed, and you move your stop loss on the other one to break even, which means that you now have a risk-free trade, and you can also not even lose. You can also not be break even. You're going to have like at least a small win, which is pretty cool. It might not work for all strategies. You got to test this out for yourself, of course, and make sure this makes sense for whatever you trade. But for me, that really helped. Okay, so guys, those are the 3 tips from my trading psychology, things that helped me a lot in the past on the mindset part. Comment below what you thought, as always. How many comments below in the comment section. Here are a few comments from the past video. I appreciate you guys for leaving comments as always, and I'll catch you back here in Fukuoka tomorrow. Ciao.